Hello, welcome to Comics Without Capes. Today we'll be talking about Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi, and just giving you a spoiler-free vibe check. I find sometimes when you look at reviews or descriptions for books, sometimes they tell you too much, sometimes they tell you too little. So the point of this is just give you some feelers, give you some heads up in regards to how I would suggest looking at these books. So Persepolis covers Marjane's life from about the age of 10 to her young adult years. So it covers about 14 years between the span of 1980 and 1994. And it throws you right into a political landscape that's changing very rapidly in Iran. So it's kind of the beginning of this cultural revolution. And at first, that beginning was quite jarring for me. I think it was a little hard for me to get into it at first because it did feel really political. And I would really recommend that if you've read the first few pages and you're not getting into it, try and get a little further into it, because for me, as you get further into it, as Marjorie ages, she gets more and more relatable to me, and the things that she talks about really cover a lot more than just that political landscape. And what I think this book does really well is it shows that the political is personal. When you're hearing it, when you're thinking about it from the perspective of a person just experiencing political changes with the politics, it is personal. It is about it's somebody's life that just so happens to coincide with these politics, with these things happening. And I think that's what this book does so well, is it really highlights the humanity as well as the history. And it doesn't tell you how to think about religion and politics, but it does give you kind of her experience of it, and also some insights from other people. So I thought it was really, really well done. I didn't feel like there was a lot of filler in this book. I would highly, highly recommend reading it as the complete Persepolis. It was originally released in 2 volumes in most places, but there was, in France, I think it was in 4 different volumes, but just read them all together. It's something that works really well as a complete thing. And it's really not that long. I would say for me, I read it over the course of a few days. It can be tempting with graphic novels, I think, to just rush through them. But I think it was a good book to read in a few different sittings for me. The art style is kind of more simple, detailing. This is just kind of from the first page, just to give you an idea, the style. But with that simplicity, what I really like is that you're not focused on all the other background details that are not really necessary for the story. So it really does give you these simple illustrations that you can really hone in on the changes between panels. So if it's a facial expression thing, you can really see that that's the main thing changing between these panels, right? So it's something where I think sometimes less is more. And in this book, it took a little bit for me to kind of fall in love with that illustration style, but I did really grow into it. In terms of ages, I would say later high school age to any adult age is kind of where I would recommend this book. I think I may have read the book or part of the book at some point in grade 12, or I watched the movie. Can't remember. I think I have a memory of watching at least part of the movie. I don't even know if I watched the full thing, but I was not in a place in high school at that age to fully appreciate it. So it is something where if it was something that you were told to read at a certain age, I think coming back to it as an adult, I really appreciate this book so much more than I probably would have in early high school. Even honestly, just out of high school, I probably wouldn't have appreciated this book the same way that I do now. So I would say this book is a little bit heavier in terms of a read, but I think a lot of memoirs are. It does talk about some pretty dark things, but it also has that contrast with the humanity stuff where it felt like a memoir that didn't completely suck the life force out of me. One thing that I really appreciate in memoirs is when it will also highlight the author or the creator's flaws, things that they have done that maybe they aren't proud of, that some people would maybe just choose not to include because it doesn't paint them in the most positive light. There's a few things in here that I was like, I'm glad she like put that in there. I'm glad that she like did something that does not reflect her positively, but just kind of shares that she is human, that we all do things that we regret, things like that. So I did appreciate that it was a very like human book in that way. So basically, I would recommend this book for anyone who wants kind of a more serious, real life type read where we're really addressing a lot of different aspects of life and humanity. If you enjoy expanding your understanding of the world, of different places, different cultures and perspectives, and you don't mind something that's a little bit on the heavier side. There is a lot of cruelty that does occur in this book, but it is so worth it. So thanks for joining me. Hopefully this gave you a bit of an idea if Persepolis sounds like something you want to read right now, or maybe want to read at a different point where you're feeling a little more up for something a little heavier. But I would highly recommend it for most people, honestly, especially most readers who are like out of high school. You might be someone in high school who really appreciates this book way more than I did when I first like tried to read or watch whatever I did in high school that I have like the tiniest memory of. I certainly did not have the appreciation for it that I do now. I'm like in my early 30s. So just to give you context, age-wise, it really hit me a lot more now than it did then. Yeah, thanks so much for joining me. Take care. Bye.